Welcome everyone at the Rockstart Energy Demo Day. My name is Julian Jacob and I'm honored to guide you through that virtual event today. We are broadcasting here live out of the Capital C studio in the heart of Amsterdam, and I think it's a good place to do so. Why? Not only because of the view, but I'm standing here on the floor made out of recycled beer bottles, and above me are solar panels harvesting the sun, which is luckily shining today. Besides myself, here in the studio, I have also my colleague Kim Geesink, the Corporate Engagement Director, and our CEO, Roon Thiel, who are both part of the program. Unfortunately, our Energy Fund Manager, Frank Bishop, cannot be here today, so we send him our warm regards home to you. We think of you. Also not here in the studio, but actually the stars of that event are the startups. They will dial in from all over Europe to showcase their business. So let's have a look in the agenda. I already kicked off with a welcome and intro and will then hand it over to Roon Thiel to give an overview about Rockstart Energy. Then we come to the main part, the startup pitches. We grouped the 9 startups in 3 themes: e-mobility, strengthening the grid, and multi-sided platform. In each of the themes, we're going to have 3 startups, and we see an animation video, a 3-minute pitch, followed by 1 question by me. Then we move on to the next startup. When we've seen all the 3 startups, we gather them again, put them in a panel and Q&A session led by Kim Geesink. When we heard all the 9 startups, covered the 3 themes, we're going to closing it off, and then I will ask you which pitch you like the most. So keep remembering throughout the whole event which startup convinced you the most. Let me point out 2 more things for the housekeeping. Firstly, you might notice that we don't have any networking part in here, but of course, we want to connect you with a startup and make and facilitate the collaboration. How are we going to approach that? On the right side, here next to the broadcast, you see a chat. After 3 startups have pitched, before the panel, we put a link there which directs you to a website where you can find all the information about the startups. A short description, animation video, the pitch deck, and the most important, contact details. And you can even book a meeting directly via Calendly. The Calendly links we will also share here in the chat, so there's no reason not to connect and make a meeting. Second one, you see not only the chat, but also below the stream, a mask where you put in questions. This can be used in the panel and Q&A session together with Kim. So if you name the startup and the question, we can also pick that up and bring it in. So I think we should just test it out after all that explanation so that you get also a bit activated and engaged. So please put in from where you're dialing in, the city, the country, so we also see there are more people out there and actually have an idea of the reach of that demo day today. When you've done that, please also just put a random question in the mask below, so we just kind of did it all. I think we run to the agenda. We know what to expect. We also now tried the functionalities, so I think we're set to go and should just right away jump into the content. So I would like to hand it over to our CEO, Roon Thiel.
Thank you so much, Julian. And also, warm welcome to all of you at home. Super excited to be able to kick off this Rockstart Energy Demo Day live here from Amsterdam. So in order to introduce Rockstart, I want to take you back a little trip down memory lane. When we kicked off that first program, just a few blocks from here on Rembrandtplein in 2012. Now, we, the founders of Rockstart, all experienced the difficulties of starting up a company when you don't yet have the network, you're not entirely sure how to get started, and you don't know which investor is going to give you that ticket to get started. Now, we got a lot of interest for this program, more than 350 applications from startups who wanted to participate. We also got some of the top entrepreneurs, business angels, and executives in the Netherlands to come in and become mentors in the program. But we struggled, actually, to finance this first program. Because at this early stage, when there's a lot of risk and a lot of unknown, investors look at it and said, is this really a sensible investment, or is this more like charity? Now, it's 8.5 years ago since these guys graduated from the first program. And now we're super excited to be able to show that on the original investment, the money multiple on that is more than 7 times. Now, even better if we look at the year after. the money multiple here is more than 10 times what we originally invested. Now, 2/3 of this was returned to investors already. And we were able to do so because we had some really great successes, also more recently. These two companies participated in the 2013 batch, iClinic and 3D Hubs. Both companies received 60,000 euros in the initial investment, and iClinic, we were able to return 1.3 million euros in proceeds. With 3D Hubs, same amount invested, same years, but we were able to get return 6.5 million euros in proceeds, 108 times money returned. Now, early on in the journey of Rockstart, we found out that it would be a stronger program if we could offer a very specific, domain-specific, I need a new clicker, domain-specific program with the best possible mentors and experts. And we started that in 2014. Since then, we built up a portfolio of more than 50 companies. 9 of them you will see here today. Now, I wasn't able to show you any exits just yet, but there's a fantastic development in this portfolio. Like, let alone this first quarter, these 4 companies had some development. Fins Building raised 1 million euros, Dexter Energy 2 million, SimPower a Series B at 5 million euros, and Greener managed to have 8 million in financing for the battery packs. Now, Rockstart is, of course, very different than back in the days when we started here at Rambamplein in one of TomTom's old buildings. Now, since then, we have become an accelerator VC. We operate remote first with offices in Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and Bogota. Now, we're a team of 35 who are fully committed to funding the transformation to a regenerative and sustainable future. We all on a mission to empower founders to drive positive change on a global scale. And we do that by focusing on 3 domains. First and foremost, agri-food, the world's biggest industry in terms of GDP. Now, innovation in this industry used to be how efficient can we be and how much economy of scale can we really gain, instead of looking at how sustainable the product will be or how regenerative the agriculture we are building really is. Now, within energy, I think it's globally known that we need to be smarter about how we produce and how we consume energy. And emerging technologies, we want to continue to invest in those groundbreaking technologies that can influence industries across, similar to what we did with 3D Hubs in 2013. Now, regardless of which of these domains we operate within, we want to build the #1 ecosystem. And with ecosystem, we slice it in 4: access to capital, market, expertise, and community. And allow me to focus in on capital, a crucial component of starting up any company. When you're just the founding team with that idea and the early traction, and you have to travel through the valley of debt while continuously financing your company, well, there's a lot of risk in this period. And thereby, it's not always so interesting for investors to invest. Now, we as Rockstart see that as a massive opportunity. We have created a strategy where we build microfunds, and with those funds, we invest in 50 companies, and we continue to co-invest together with the market all the way onto Series B, together with venture capital firms, business angels, and corporate investors, and so on. Now, not only is this fantastic for the entrepreneurs, because you have a line of sight where you have to go, but it's also great for the investors who invest into Rockstart. With the old model, where we got 6.5 million euros in proceeds, with the new model, we could have added another 2.5 million in follow-on, and we would have gotten 48 million euros in proceeds. So that's pretty exciting. Now, we managed to get here by refining the accelerator program that we ran between 2012 and 2019, 24 editions in total. Then we launched our first fund within agri-food in 2019. We had the final close just last week, and we're going to announce the final amount in the upcoming week, so what's out in the press. And the energy fund will last year in October at 21.5 million. And we're launching 2 more funds within emerging technologies, one for Europe and one for Latin America, at a size between 20 to 30 million euros. Now, we empower founders by driving that access to capital. So hopefully, like this skater, as a founder, you can make a little ollie over the valley of death. I'll hand you over to Julian and the clicker again.
Thanks.
Which we only have one of for now.
There needs to be always some technical issues, so this is covered for now. Thanks, Rune, also for looking into the access to capital. But I also want to give a quick overview what the access to market expertise and access to community actually means. We heard already about the energy fund, the follow-on and co-investment opportunities, as well as the investor network. And in the access to market, we try to connect our startups to our official ecosystem partners like Essent, Engie, and Shell, which are eager to work with our startups. We also provide access to conferences to showcase their business. Just as an example, this morning, also as a kind of rehearsal, they were pitching at the Eco Summit Zoom, which is a Europe-wide audience. But we also organize our own events like Ecosystem Day, where we connect the startups in our cohort with the companies in our network and to facilitate collaboration. Access to expertise is crucial. It's our mentors. Having people spending their free time in supporting the startups in their growth and development is just invaluable. They give workshops, sessions, one-on-one coachings, and opening up their network, and that's priceless. So big kudos and thank you to all of the mentors out there. Access to community. Our Rockstart has already invested in the last 10 years and accelerated more than 250,000 startups. No, that's a bit exaggerated, 250 startups. And this is a huge community of founders and peers. So we try to connect them to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and best practices through Ask Me Anything sessions in our deep dive weeks, but also in community events to foster that collaboration. Looking at all these parts of the 4 pillars, we can say that in the program, in the running program, we've covered already several things. We started off in December last year with onboarding and team. The focus in January was funding and financials. In February, everything was about community, where we in parallel did community events, but also sessions with the agri-food program, which just started. And last month, we are focusing on marketing and sales, including our ecosystem day. This week and today, it's all about stage and pitch. The startups have been working hard on their pitches, and they are looking forward also to share them soon with you. Next month in May is our last deep dive week, where we focus on scaling readiness and try to cover all the gaps which we haven't covered yet. I think we talked about now sufficient about Rockstart Energy, the program. Let's get to the cohort and the startups. We have 9 startups from 5 different countries. Advanced Infrastructure from the UK, Octo from Denmark, eDrive from Netherlands, Helio from Switzerland, Climate.co from Denmark, Starker from Spain and Netherlands, BIA from Spain, Solutions from Netherlands, and TechnologyCatalog.com also from Netherlands. As at the beginning said, these 9 startups we have grouped into 3 themes. It's strengthening the grid, e-mobility, and multi-sided platform, and we're just about to hear them all.
So that was the kickoff of Rockstart, and now on to the main part of the event, the presentations by the startups. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll hand you over to my colleague Julian and Kim, who will guide you through the rest of the event. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rune. I think also we should not lose more time and jump right away in the first theme, e-mobility. Let's kick it off with the first startup, eDrive from the Netherlands, represented by Baska Deel, dialing in also from not far away here. Here we go.
With thousands of dollars being offered in rebates, 250 new models launching soon, the electric vehicle boom is a huge opportunity for the EV charging business. But how do you start? How can you manage hundreds of charging locations spread across the city and accept driver payments? Meet eDrive, the next generation charging management software. It's like Shopify for EV charging. You can connect your bank account, set charging rates, and start offering your service in days. With networks live across the world and backers including former Tesla professionals, eDrive is the optimal partner for your electric vehicle charging business.
Thank you, Julian. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bhaskar, and I'm here to talk to you about eDrive. Did you know that out of every 4 cars sold in the Netherlands in the year 2020, 1 could be plugged in? Just in the month of December, that number was 2 cars out of every 3 sold. But I'm probably preaching to the choir here because many of the people in the audience today probably already drive an electric car. But let's see what the rest of the world's like. Across the world, countries are spending billions and billions of dollars in national, state, and fiscal incentives. Barely a day goes by when a new auto company is not launching a new electric vehicle model in the market. There's more than 250 new models of electric vehicles in the pipeline across the world. All this means that there's going to be a massive growth in the number of cars that will be on the roads, which would need to be charged at the end of the day, which is obviously driving a huge increasing demand for EV charging services. As you would expect, this results in hundreds of entrepreneurs waking up one morning and thinking, how can I be a part of this hundreds of billion-dollar opportunity and become a service provider for electric vehicle charging? But if you are an electric contracting business or a manager in a real estate firm, and you're interested in launching a new service for EV charging, how do you go about it? How do you manage the network? How do you manage pricing, payments? What hardware do you choose? All these are questions that you're faced with right off the bat if you think about getting into the EV charging business. eDrive is a platform that allows anyone to set up a charging network for EV drivers. Think of us as Shopify for EV charging. Our product is a white label suite of applications which just works out of the box. As a customer, you upload your logo, you connect your bank account, you set the rates that a driver would pay when they use one of your charging stations, and you start accepting payments. With eDrive, you're basically up and running your EV charging network in a matter of days. And that's the simplicity we are trying to bring to this market. Our revenue model is straightforward. Customers pay a subscription fee for every charging station that's on our network. Every time a driver plugs in and charges, we take a small transaction fee. We also make a small revenue from reselling hardware. Since launch, we've grown exponentially, and we're seeing the first year with a strong close of approximately 600,000 euros. Our beachhead market is the US East Coast, where we have a strong pipeline of 2,500 charging stations, and we're approved for government incentives. We put together a team that can make it happen, which includes experience in technology development, in enterprise sales, and product development. We have investors on board, in addition to Rockstart, including Jelle Vastert, who used to be the former head of charging for Tesla globally. In order to make this happen, we are targeting a market-leading position in the large and fast-growing American market and raising our seed round of 2 million euros. We are looking for investors who have a cross-Atlantic focus and are excited by the eDrive journey and want to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Bhaskar, thanks a lot for making the first move here. It's always hard to be the first one pitching, but I think you already raised the bar. So I have a question to you, because you're based in the Netherlands, but your main operations are actually in the US. So why have you chosen the US market to be your beachhead market? And why do you think eDrive will succeed there?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Julian. Both Rupal and I have spent a number of years working in the American market. The US market is also maybe a couple of years behind European markets. And most importantly, there are significant amounts of fiscal and tax incentives being put forward for networks to roll out. We believe that our model of enabling micro networks go to the market is something that can work very well in our favor in the American market. So that's why we're doing that.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bhaskar. Of course, I crossed the fingers, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. See you in a second, also in the panel, so stay in line. Thank you, Bhaskar. Let's move on to the second startup of the e-mobility theme. Solutions also from the Netherlands, but Yuri de Reuver, the founder, is actually dialing in from the west coast of the US. So let's enjoy Solutions. Here you go.
How can you contribute to the carbon neutral of tomorrow? What to buy? Where? How do I get it safely installed, managed, and save money? With the number of expected home charger installations expanding by up to 25% yearly, we believe it's crucial to empower you and provide an independent range of choices. Our ecosystem platform allows innovative connections between suppliers of hard and software and users. With a combined 60+ years of EV charging experience and proven annual growth results, our team is fully ready to help you unlock the power of renewable energy. Solutions. Configure your life.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yuri Druiver. I'm the CEO and the founder of Solutions, and I'll be taking you on our customer journey. The electric vehicle market is booming. With over 1.3 million new cars sold last year and growing to 7 million in 2025, we know that at least 25% of these new EV drivers will have the ability to charge at home. But a lot of them are wondering how. So is our customer, Scott. Scott just bought his dream EV, and he's overwhelmed with all the different charging options. Which home charger does he need? How does he get it safely installed? How does he get his charging sessions reimbursed by his employer? This is where we come in to help Scott and his fellow EV drivers. We have an EV charging services platform for consumers and EV industry players. We have a strong team with over 60 years of relevant experience from various industry players. With Solutions, Scott can simply fulfill his home charging needs from his computer. With the Cable Solutions shop, Scott can search and compare more than 1,000 charging products from more than 20 suppliers and get it delivered the next day. And if Scott needs a turnkey solution, then he can rely on our charge configurator. With this online tool, Scott can simply get a tailored advice on which charging station is best for his car, his electrical grid, or other personal requirements. The charge configurator walks Scott through a variety of questions to identify the home charger that fits best for his needs. Once he selects his charger, he can choose from one of our local certified installers to schedule the installation. With a virtual inspection, we can remotely check Scott's installation, so no house visit is needed, and the installation can be done within days. In a matter of minutes, Scott has chosen, purchased, and scheduled his installation and is ready to get charged. Now imagine you were Scott's car dealer and you were supplying hundreds of customers with electric cars a year. How could you have provided Scott with this great experience without losing focus on your core business? Well, for car dealers and other EV-related companies, we have the Enterprise program. Via our webshop discount program, they can sign up for high-volume discounts, and with our all-in service package, the Enterprise Suite, they can white label the full Solutions experience, including the charge configurator, and access the partner portal while staying focused on their core business. Our offering to enterprises is part of a more extensive partner program, which also includes specific programs for our installers and our suppliers. In Corona year 2020, Solutions has achieved a 120% year-over-year growth, totaling 650,000 in revenue. Currently, we're having over 35,000 visitors per month, and we signed up over 50 partners for a partner program. With our online tools and our partner network, we've already built a strong ecosystem to help customers like Scott, and we're ready for the next phase. To support our growth, to expand our partner program, and to further develop our online tools, we're looking for 600,000 for the next 18 months, with a projected revenue of 6.6 million in 2022. On behalf of Scott, we'd like to thank you for the attention, and we'd like to invite you to join us for the next part of our journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yuri. If you stop sharing your screen, we also can see your full screen. But maybe I can also say good morning to you, right? You're dialing in from the west coast of the US, so it's pretty early, I guess.
Absolutely. It is actually, it's starting to get early, 6:30.
Oh, okay. It's good to see you still fresh and energized. Getting back to
Absolutely, always.
I would like to know, you started off with B2C, but you also have impressive numbers and kind of targeting enterprises. So how important are enterprises in your go-to-market strategy, and how is the impact on your business model with that?
Yeah, so we've actually indeed started with consumers, but what we see, there's a lot of businesses out there that have EV components, EV charging as an added value service to like car dealers, utilities, but also think about homeowners associations or even social homing organizations that need to roll out these massive amounts of EV chargers. So we built simple tools for them to incorporate in their existing businesses and still leverage our services, our knowledge, our installer network, our hardware, and everything to roll that out and into their existing business. So that's why the enterprise is for us super important, as it will become a bigger and bigger portion of our revenue over time.
Okay.
And that's a large portion of the investment is going through.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Yuri, for answering that question. We see you in some minutes back on the panel. Thanks a lot. I want to remind you also again to submit questions to the startups you're seeing. You can just do that throughout the whole time, because we're going to just consider that then through the panel and pick them up. Let's move on to the third and last startup in the e-mobility theme. Let's go to Bia from Spain. And Candace is actually also dialing in from North America, from Canada. Not that early as Yuri, but let's enjoy the show. Here we go.
Electric vehicle charging can be costly. How can we avoid high peak loads, unnecessary infrastructure costs, and early battery degradation? At BIA, we can help. Our platform handles your EV charging needs in real time, delivering sustainable, low-cost charge with balanced EV loads. These add up to huge savings, reducing up to 80% power capacity, up to 50% power cost, up to 70% carbon footprint reduction, and on average reducing battery degradation by 40%. BIA makes ingenious EV charging easy.
Hi, my name's Candace, and I'm the CEO and founder of BIA. Meet Olga. She runs the public fleets for the city of Barcelona, and she recently decided to fully electrify their waste management fleet. The problem is that there's not enough electrical capacity in the parking lots where these EVs will charge. After speaking with the local energy retailer, Olga learned that there's no way to ensure the energy charging the new electric fleet is sustainable. And to make matters worse, the city would incur additional costs, actually tens of thousands of euros, from expensive electric service upgrades and new energy contracts to meet these energy loads. Workplace charging, park and ride charging, condo and fleet charging are all running into the same problem. More and more drivers are demanding EV charging, yet every parkade has limits on how much energy can be consumed and has a very limited ability to efficiently monitor and manage these new large loads. Unmanaged EV charging is expensive, causes large peak loads, and increases demand for fossil fuels. BIA is a software company, and we've designed and built a platform to forecast, manage, and optimize EV charging. We predict EV flexibility and optimize to lower costs, ensure the greenest charge, and deliver new revenues through grid services. We've designed our optimization application to always deliver cash flow positive results. At minimum, we deliver savings of 20 euros per EV charger for a 5 to 10 euro charge per month. In most cases, though, our savings are much higher, as we deliver up to 80% peak load reduction, 50% energy cost savings, while greatly reducing carbon footprint and battery degradation. We also work with energy retailers and utilities to provide forecasts for EV loads, EV load flexibility, and disaggregation services. Our white-labeled solutions allow our clients to offer sophisticated billing, planning, and optimization solution. What makes us different is that we've built modular technology that can predict EV charging flexibility and co-optimize for multiple parameters, all based on our customers' specific needs. Over the last year, we've become the market leader in Spain with revenue-generating commercial customers and strategic B2B partnerships. Our pipeline is valued at over 2.8 million euros, and we have over 70,000 euros in contract through our SaaS business model. In our honest opinion, BIA exists in the most exciting space in clean tech, at the intersection of clean transport and clean energy. By 2030, in just North America and Europe, we believe this represents a 50 billion euro market. We're currently raising a bridge round and will be launching a Series A later this year. Our focus is now on scale. We have our tech commercialized and we're ready to grow. If you'd like to experience our platform or if you're interested in investing, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank Thank you, Candice, and also good morning to you. I'm sending over to Canada.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding your service. You're saying that you're reducing the carbon footprint, the electricity costs, and also the peak loads. I would like to understand a bit better, your customers. So can you tell something about your customers?
Sure. We've established a number of strategic partnerships and core customers in Spain, from channels like Acciona to the city of Barcelona with their electric bus system and their public parking garage, and also with some energy retailers. And what we do is our technology is modular, and the first part of it really is core to data management. So we are really have built a pipeline that allows us to ingest and manage data so that we can learn and begin to forecast and bring business intelligence around EV charging events. So what all of these customers have in common is that they are now with BIA able to monitor and manage what's happening from a forecasting perspective, and then also a real-time perspective where we can start to actually optimize and manage those charges so that they deliver actually good results and efficient charging practices.
Okay, thanks a lot for that elaborative answer, Candice, and see you in a few seconds also on the panel. Because I would like to ask back also Yuri de Ruyver and Bhaskar Deel for the first panel of this afternoon. Can you come back on the virtual stage? And I want to also remind the people to ask questions, put them in the mask, and also name the startup what you would like to address to.
Great, yeah, I'm very excited to be kicking off this first panel with you guys on e-mobility. And indeed, as Julian just said, everybody at home, please pose your questions to these three wonderful companies who just did such an exciting pitch. They all showed that e-mobility is such a booming space. And as a bit of an introduction for me personally, I also think it's very exciting. It's almost hard to keep up with all of the new EV models that are being launched by these big car brands. And just cycling down my own street, I can see the charging stations just popping up down my house, at the office, etc. However, a critical mind could also argue that e-mobility is also a little bit stuck. It's this sort of chicken and egg story where consumers are hesitant to buy an electric vehicle because it's not that comfortable yet, for example, to go on a holiday, when we can finally go on a holiday again, because it might be, you don't know where you can charge. And at the same time, also businesses and investors might be a little bit hesitant because to date, the percentage of cars in Europe that are electric is less than 2%. So yeah, I'd like to ask this great panel of these three startups here, what your take is on this. And Yuri, may I maybe start with you? You're quite a dinosaur, if I may say so, in the e-mobility sector. You had a previous company in it as well. So can you reflect a little bit on this and also your timing then with solutions?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. And I think the chicken and egg problem is still a little bit there. What you see is that there's a lot of DC charging out there, which is getting a lot of range anxiety away because it can provide fast charging. On the other hand, where actually the majority of charging happens is at home, if you have the ability to charge at home. So in those situations, that's where we have been jumping in. And trying to find a solution for easy rollout of mass adoption of home chargers. There's 450 million homes in Europe. If a majority of them needs chargers, I think that's where the focus needs to be. So chicken and egg, yes, it's still there, but there's enough critical mass right now to keep that ball rolling.
Good, that's good to hear. I'm probably also trying to convert it because you all, I guess, believe in this future indeed of e-mobility, of course. And maybe jumping to you, Candice, I'm interested to learn also, you're operating in the European market. You're already operating in Spain and now also moving into the Dutch market. What is your experience between these different markets?
Sure, well, I guess one of the things that I would first say is that it's more that there's a lot of similarities. And one of those things is, we're seeing this globally actually, is that there's real growth. And I think everyone, has mentioned it at some point in their presentation today. And with growth comes some problems where there's a lot of focus right now on hardware and on installing hardware and selling hardware. And where BIA comes in is really where we see this gap in monitoring and data management and flexibility forecasting and optimization. So we see in both markets and actually across Europe and in North America, as this grows and as the hardware deployment grows, there is just an increasing need and an increasing technical gap for data management, monitoring, and optimization.
Thanks. That's an insightful, insightful answer. Thanks, Candace. And maybe to stick with you, actually, I got a question coming in from Jeff Mann. He's asking, how do people buy your software? Must the electricity supplier provide it? Can you share some light on that?
Sure, absolutely. You can license directly from BIA. So we have a cloud architecture, which we can deploy very simply with telemetry to basically every EV charger and most EVs directly. So we sell both B2B and directly to customers.
Okay, thanks. I hope, Jeff, that was a good answer for you. Going maybe to Bhaskar, Julian already asked a little bit indeed about your presence in the US market. I kind of want to jump back to the market differences. I'm interested for the US market, Bhaskar, on scalability, because indeed you mentioned that there's a different sort of speed in terms of how fast the market is adopting. And I can imagine, or what I know from it, is that there's so many different plugs and standardizations, etc. What is your experience with that? And how do you make sure that your solution is scalable?
Yeah, thanks. Great question, Kim. I'd say the US market is different, but not that much. You're definitely seeing a lot of push, for example, as part of the Biden administration. A huge incentive package has been rolled out for charging infrastructure. I think the industry will solve the problem of standardization, but I think the key differences are also, I think, going back to the point that Yuri made earlier, you will see charging happen at multiple locations. It'll happen at homes, at workplaces, and then on the highway. And so as eDrive, we want to be a part of that, focusing on the fast-growing segments where a lot of the installations are going on, and then just grow as the market grows overall.
Yeah, so maybe Yuri, indeed, maybe kind of the same question to you. How do you deal with scalability and the differentiation of standardizations, etc.?
Yeah, so in Europe, it has been a little bit of a mess. I think, like Bhaskar was saying, it's kind of consolidating right now onto a certain group of standards. So that standardization part is really getting to a resolution, and the industry is behind it, and the rollout is happening. Luckily enough, there are still adapters and components for the users to convert to other older hardware. So I think that step is finally taken, and we're kind of settling on something. So we're ready for really the next big growth. So that's actually a good sign, I think.
Thanks so much. I'm very happy to say that we're getting more questions incoming from the audience. And I have one here from Zach Cohen. This question is for both BIA and for eDrive. In the context of the EV charging value chain, why are these types of services not internalized by either the hardware OEM, EV OEM, or grid operator? You probably know more about these terms. So one of you who wants to go first. Candace, perhaps?
Sure. So what's happening right now as the EV growth is really taking off is people are in most of the industry is quite fragmented and in some ways sticking in their lane. So if you're building and deploying hardware, that's really your core focus as a company. So we're seeing right now that from the software and from the sort of aggregated management side, that's not the focus of an OEM who's building an EV charger, for example. Now, in 5 years or even 3 years, I think that that's where it's going to go. The OEMs are going to start doing it, and utilities are going to start offering it. And so that's why we built BIA now, so that I think that we can provide these, and we already are. We're providing these as white-labeled solutions so that they can be embedded in the OEM or in the hardware as it's being deployed. We're already working with a number of CPOs and utilities to have that as part of their initial offering. So it lets us do what we do well, which is data management, monitoring, and optimization, and it lets them be able to offer these unique offerings that it looks like they're doing it, but they're getting our core technology to do it with them.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Candace. And then maybe just for the viewer at home who doesn't know what OEM is, can you maybe share a little bit about that?
Sure. This is the companies that build the hardware. So they manufacture maybe EV charging stations, maybe they manufacture EV buses or batteries or any hardware. It's the company that builds it.
Perfect. Then I guess it's all clear. Bhaskar, yeah, do you agree with Candice, or what is your take on this?
Yeah, I always agree with Candice. No, there's hardly an investor presentation where that question doesn't come up. And I think let's take the hardware manufacturer, the OEM. First, EV Box spun off Everon. They want to be separate companies. I think all the hardware providers want to be software agnostic, and the software providers want to be hardware agnostic. So I think that's a gap that standardization will fill, and we're very much in that space. We work with over 20 hardware manufacturers. The other question, which is, I guess, starts to become a little bit more interesting, and I think time will tell how the industry evolves. Why don't the utilities do that, or why don't why don't the energy companies do that? And I think quite simply the answer is the reason for a company like eDrive to exist is you're going to deploy EV charging in a multi-apartment complex or in an office complex. I don't think I would trust a utility company to come in and integrate with my office's, employee management system or my ERP system. I don't think that's where the expertise is. So I think we'll see companies that kind of come in the middle, fill a sort of interconnect kind of a role, and then lay the groundwork for services like what Candice is talking about.
Yeah, clear. Thanks. Yuri, a question for you. Of course, with the e-mobility sector really taking off, more cars being connected to the grids, there's also indeed, I think you all mentioned it also in your pitches, there's this peak, of course, on the grid. Are you worried for more regulations and that could maybe harm your business perspectives?
Actually, I think the chances could be that there could be regulations. You see, for instance, in Australia, that they have a device. It's called the DRED, which they build in to the houses by regulation, and that's basically a device that controls overload for grid calamities or other kinds of control measurements. It's a device that's regulated in the house. I think there's other ways to get around it for more of a market approach. So having something, and we're working, so if investors are interested, also we can talk about that in another story, but we're working on something that would be allowing us to tap into that capability of home chargers and other home devices. But regulation, I think right now would actually be killing for innovation.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I would be worried.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's good to know also indeed for everybody working on, maybe the viewers watching and working on regulations, stop doing that. No.
But listen to the market, yes.
Listen to the market, exactly, indeed. And maybe also the solution could be that we can strengthen the grid, but we will see that on the second part of today's program. I have another question moving more a little bit into your own fundraising activities. Can you share a little bit more? I am getting a question coming in from Joe Garcia. How much money are you raising, or what are your funding needs? And I guess this is to all of you. Let's start with you, Bhaskar.
Sure. We are currently raising a 2 million seed round, and that would last us for the next 2 years. We have the opportunity to break it up in milestones if necessary, but that's the current state. And we've raised a couple of grants over the last 6 months, I would say, most interesting being a grant from the UK government for a very innovative project on demand management with a utility. But that's where we are. Yeah,
and is there anything you can say about the ticket size, or that's a little bit too early?
2 million euros, like I said.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay, yeah. Candice.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are currently in a bridge round right now. We're raising 500,000 in a bridge round, and we're about halfway there with committed investors. And then we're launching a Series A Q3, Q4 this year, and that'll be 2 to 3 million.
Cool. Yeah. And Yuri, what is your fundraising?
We're looking at 600K right now for the upcoming 18 months. Basically a bridge round also till the end of next year, where we're looking for another bigger round and also announcing our new plans. So But that would be enough for us to get to break even if we wanted. So that's a good thing.
That's great. Good to hear. Well, I hope that all of the investors who are watching, well, please post more questions if you have any on these specific fundraising rounds. Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions coming in. Very excited. One of them is, yeah, maybe more to you guys, a bit more personally, and I'm interested, maybe also, especially to you, Candice, also as a woman. How does it feel to really be an entrepreneur and also experiencing this program? How is that for you?
I mean, being an entrepreneur is, I think it's a bit of a roller coaster sometimes. There's moments where you feel that you're seeing a dream materialize, you're seeing something that you really have put a lot of work into become tangible. And then there's sort of equal moments that you wonder if it's going to happen. So it's a journey, but I think knowing that, and I've done it a number of times now, I can sort of see it coming. And at the end of the day, I love building things. I love seeing things grow. And so for me, I wouldn't do anything else. I love it, even though it's a little bit risky. I think it's my way of sort of expressing what I think I'm good at and what I believe in. So I get to build the tech that I think is what the world needs.
Does it also help a little bit to be now surrounded by other entrepreneurs as well and to have this peer-to-peer learning?
Absolutely. I think that it's not unique what I'm going through. I think that a lot of people who have taken risks and who have done entrepreneurship, either like within corporate or on their own, know that there's an adrenaline there, but there's also a sustainability you have to be able to sustain this energy. So I think that it's super helpful to hear other people's stories and to be able to relate and sort of have a community that becomes quite supportive and quite actually critical to keeping the sustained energy moving forward. So it's been really, really helpful.
That's great. Well, guys, we already came to the end of the panel, actually. I don't know if you have any final last words. Bhaskar? All good?
Sure, no, I think we're very excited to be a part of the EV transition. There's a huge opportunity globally, not just here in Europe. And looking forward to meeting more corporates, more investors who can be a part of this journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Yuri, some final last words?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. And to everyone out there, enjoy driving electric the next couple of years because it's going to happen.
Exactly. Let's break that chicken and egg. Great. Thank you so much, guys. And we will see you back later on at the end of this program. So having closed off e-mobility, we're now going on to the second topic of today, which is strengthening the grid.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kim, for moderating a really interesting and insightful panel. And I also want to say thank you to everyone out there submitting all the questions. We had a lot. We even needed to filter, so apologies if we couldn't answer your question out there. I also want to say that we have around 250 people actually watching, so even if you're alone in front of the screen, you are actually not alone watching that. We've talked and heard about e-mobility, and we heard that the EV is booming. But we also heard that it's actually putting pressure on the grid, the energy grid. So what we need to do is to strengthen the grid. That's our second theme, and I'm curious to listen together with you to the next 3 startups. Let's start it off with advanced infrastructure from the UK, and Christopher Jackson is representing them. So here we go.
25% of global carbon emissions come from electricity consumption. Pressure from climate-related litigation, climate-conscious consumers, and ESG investors is growing, putting companies under immense pressure to evidence the credibility of their sustainability claims. Our solutions optimize the ingest, cleaning, querying, analysis, and visualization of energy data. This not only protects against the risks of carbon exposure and accidental greenwashing, but creates valuable opportunities. Let's push forward together to build the data infrastructure required to deliver a more advanced and sustainable tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Christopher Jackson, CEO at Advanced Infrastructure. We build powerful digital twins of the energy system that help corporations emit less carbon. Today, I want to talk to you about our first customer, an automotive manufacturer. Their production manager knows exactly where every subcomponent comes from. who made it, where it was made, and how much it cost. They're confident about tracing wheels and springs and axles, but they don't know where to start with energy. Because there's no map of the energy system, businesses don't know where power comes from. In the UK, our AI-powered energy map is the highest resolution energy data platform on the market. We aggregate, analyze, and model energy data down to postcode resolution. Our service is targeted at corporations and power utilities that want to quantify and reduce emissions from their electricity consumption. Our customers see the strategic advantage of 24/7 energy data and analysis, 30% more accurate than the current methods. It creates valuable opportunities from greenwash-free carbon accounting to lower-cost energy master planning for network operators and local governments, and evidencing products were manufactured using low-carbon power. The energy system is becoming a data system. The market size for data-enabled energy analytics is 4.5 billion, and market drivers are overwhelmingly ESG-conscious investors and consumer activism, with government regulation following. We're establishing beachhead pilots across all our major market segments with corporates, utilities, and other network operators. We make money by charging subscription fees for access to our data services, with performance fees linked to cost savings and improvements we identify. This provides us with a scalable infrastructure service that's highly profitable and defensible. Since our initial €100,000 pre-seed investment in October 2020, we've leveraged €300,000 in non-dilutive grant funding and €170,000 of pilot revenues. And now we're close to signing our first long-term recurring revenue customer, and we're launching our funding round today. We're looking for corporates and utilities who want to undertake pilots with us and see for themselves how energy data enables your evolving business models. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christopher, for that great presentation. I actually need to confess that I need to watch twice because in the rehearsal this morning you haven't been shaved, so it's good to see you like this. It really suits you. But getting back to...
I'm enjoying feeling like this as well.
Yeah, it's an unusual feeling. Nice. I want to get back to your presentation. You're processing a lot of data, and you showed also a lot of numbers in your presentation. I'm actually in particular interested in one. You mentioned improving 30% accuracy of normal methods. So I would like to understand a bit more about this number. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I'd love to. So this is a really important issue of scope 2 carbon emissions and accounting. That's a really hot topic for most businesses, especially in Europe. It so happens that if you use annual averages compared to real-time locational data, the error in your carbon reporting is up to 30%. And that's really important if you're a corporate that's essentially selling your product, making a value proposition around and marketing claims around the carbon emissions. It's something you really have to be concerned and accurate and able to articulate exactly what is the impact of the product or service that you're offering.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Christopher, for making that clear, and see you later on the panel with Kim. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the first startup in the second theme, strengthening the grid. So let's move on to Starke Energy, dialing in from Spain, and it's Rolf Bastiansen. So here you go.
Electricity demand is booming, requiring costly grid upgrades. By 2029, this market will account for a whopping 10 billion in revenue. What it requires most is local flexibility. Starke offers a range of unique urban power banks to manage and monetize energy streams between buildings and markets. Our battery health management model increases lifetime value of storage by 20%. Our clients have zero upfront costs. Our solution is a game changer for the social housing sector and real estate companies, providing significant savings, return on investments, and improved sustainability.
Hello, everybody. In our cities, we celebrate human creativity, connectivity, and culture. They're buzzing with energy. They're increasingly green. Clean transport, fully electric homes, energy-positive districts. But can our local energy systems handle that? No, they cannot. Energy flows become too intense and out of balance. Our systems will shut down. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but the day after they will. So if we want to achieve a truly green society, we need a smarter way to balance energy locally. My name is Rolf, I'm founder of Rockstart Energy, and we build urban power banks. We're raising €1 million. Stark has 200,000 euros in revenue this year across 3 clients. And Jurgen here on screen is responsible for 2 billion euros of real estate close to Amsterdam. We will deliver a 2 megawatt urban power bank later this year. And that will help make his portfolio become future-proof. Actually, our first battery will be installed next week. But of course, our ambitions go much further. Hidden behind the grid connection of larger buildings, there's about 10 billion euros of untapped value in energy balancing potential. And Starke is the first company to build local storage systems that fully exploit that potential, using small batteries of around 100 kilowatts. So we use commercially available batteries and offer that capacity to multiple markets without any hassle today. Building owners can reduce their energy bill and maximize their PV potential. Grid infrastructure companies avoid expensive and invasive upgrades, and a national energy grid can integrate much more renewables into the mix. Starke can deliver this because our software makes complex operational decisions within seconds. We carefully manage battery health, and this results in positive returns on small-scale storage. We make batteries an investable asset. So for every megawatt of batteries installed, we deliver 50 megatons of CO2 savings, reduce energy system costs by about 200,000 euros a year. And that delivers a 20% overall margin over lifetime. And Starke owns and operates the system. Our clients have zero upfront investment, and they actually receive some of the benefits that we obtain out of trading. That's what we call storage as a service. And as a next generation energy services company, we unlock in the billions of investments in this new energy class, batteries. And the new revenue streams that we create, they partially go to our local partners, and that makes Starke rapidly scalable. So our amazing team of 7 has built a new product and brought it to market within a year. With pre-seed funding and an order book of 5 clients and partners, we foresee reaching a funnel of about 100 million within 4 years. So Starke allows cities and building owners to take charge of the energy system. Join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rolf, for your presentation, dialing in also probably from that sunny Barcelona. In your presentation, you mentioned 18 months ago, you started with a concept. Now you have customer pilots. So I would like to understand what makes you able to actually beat the competition.
I think Starke bridges a part of the market that no one else seems to do. There's a lot of technology out there that could fit part of the, let's say, the greener ambitions of real estate owners. But how to finance it and how to deliver the bigger and complex projects. And that's why we have chosen to be both the software developer and the investor. And so we are the first one who bring that combination to market.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rolf. Then stay in line and we see you in a couple of minutes back in the panel. I want to remind you again, just submit your questions below the broadcast to the startups. If it's a general one to everyone, just the question. And if it's to specific startups, first the startup name and then the question. Let's move on to the third startup in the theme Strengthening the Grid. It's Octo from Denmark, and it's represented by Golam. Here we go.
The rising electrification is creating a fundamental shift. Electrical vehicles are rolling out by the thousands, and we all want to take part in accelerating the energy transition towards a green future. But our grid is operating with over 30-year-old power transformers. Upgrading millions of transformers takes time. How are we going to avoid the bottlenecks along the way and keep the power flowing? Octo introduces a unique solution for adding extra capacity by listening to the grid. Our unique solution offers the world's first online, easy-to-deploy digital upgrade to track transformer performance in real time. Simply mount our sensor, register with the app, and start keeping your ears on the grid.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening. I'm pretty excited to be here to tell you a little bit about our company. My name is Golam Sedegnia, and I'd like to tell you why we're raising €3 million for the next round. Traditionally, transformers didn't need any monitoring, and that's why there's hardly any online real-time monitoring solutions out there. But that's changing with electrification across the entire grid. Regional congestions require higher capacity from existing transformers. Fluctuating voltage levels are wearing out components earlier than before, and increasing fleet sizes demand a workforce that cannot keep up the pace. The common denominator for these three scenarios is early fault detection. Early fault detection for safer overloading transformers, early fault detection for prioritizing diagnostics, and early fault detection for remote inspection. Let me tell you an example with one of our customers. They serve 50,000 transformers globally with 10,000 service technicians. That's a very costly business model. A remote inspection solution for this customer alone will amount to an annual recurrent revenue of €5 million. That's why we build a solution. We provide a plug-and-play IoT device that you can mount magnetically on the side of a transformer that listens to the inner components and detects anomalies before they turn into a problem. And that's good because then the customer can take better decisions early on. But a tool in itself is not really enough. We also need to understand what the customers really need. When you have thousands of transformers, ease of deployment and low integration effort is absolutely crucial to implement any solution. That's why we built our solution around zero tooling needed, and that is unmatched by our competitors. We offer our product as a service based on €1,000 per transformer per year. We own the devices, the customer gets the data. We already have €100,000 in contracts and €2 million in our pipeline with ambition to reach €500,000 by mid next year. But customers alone is not enough at this point. €800,000 has already been invested in Octo, but we're asking for your help. We need €3 million to take our product towards a scalable launch for reaching volume sales by the end of 2023. In return, you'll get to be in company with these happy faces, an experienced team ready to execute on our goals, with advisors who know the market and understand the financial mechanisms, and with a strong base to build your investment on. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Golam. And actually, it's nice to end with a slide of the team, and some of them we even see in the back. So we know they're actually really working hard at the same time.
Yeah.
You had the tagline.
They're here.
You had the tagline, ears on the grid. I think that's really sticky and memorable. But besides that, what makes your solution unique?
Thank you for that question, Julian. The uniqueness of our solution is actually also the value proposition of our offering, and that is ease of deployment. Again, when you have a large fleet, you can't deploy a solution that takes 2 technicians, half a day to mount. You have to screw something onto the transformer. We measure non-invasively, and we mount non-invasively.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Golam. Stay in line, and I would also like to ask Rolf and Christopher back on the virtual stage so we can go in the second panel led by Kim.
Great, very excited to be running this second panel, and I just want to reiterate for the viewers at home, submit your questions, and also if your questions haven't been answered or you want to directly get in contact with these wonderful startups, then go to the Notion page. The links will be shown in the chats and everything, so please do that. So you could have guessed probably already, but what all of these 3 startups have in common is strengthening the grid. So advanced infrastructure here is making the grid a little bit greener. Octo is actually listening to the grid to improve operations. And last but not least, also Rockstart Energy is improving the grid with its flexibility by using batteries. And this transformation is very much needed to meet new environmental standards and also the growing demand by consumers and businesses. But zooming out, for me at least, and that's also my first question actually to you, Rolf, if you look at the grids and what is needed for the future of the grids to be very much more sustainable, what do you think is the main problem, and how does your solution fit in that?
It's a great question. We see that now there's so many technologies that are sufficiently mature to be deployed, if it's energy generation or technologies that sit deeper into the energy infrastructure. But the business case is often still a bit shaky. And on the other hand, we see a lot of capital being ready. There's so many companies and governments that want to invest in a green energy system and connecting the two. That's, I think, what's missing right now. And that's also why Stark has chosen to have a software as a service model that is linked with a capital investment model.
Yeah, so yeah, all of the parties, different parties involved need to also collaborate a little bit better to make it more efficient and work better. Christopher, over to you. I would love to know, because you have operations in the UK, as we already saw from your pitch, and you're working with network operators. And I was just wondering that it can also be quite a conservative industry, maybe with long sales cycles. And I think, Rolf, you also hinted at that a little bit. So how do you deal with that?
I think the most important thing is to try and show value early in prototyping. With essentially short projects in which you can demonstrate value. Don't talk about the money first, and just get in there and show what you can do. And the main conservatism in system operators is that they don't know really what data sets they have and what use they can be put to. So the first thing we do is we get in there and we visualize them and we demonstrate value immediately. And then after a short trial, then you can come back to them with some evidence to say, look, we saved you this much, so let's have a conversation around the long-term contract.
Okay, thanks. I think your audio is maybe a bit off, but maybe we can check that. Golam, I'd like to actually pose the same question to you. What is your experience in that, working with the network operators for your solution?
Well, actually, our journey started with a transmission company approaching us for a better solution for their asset management systems. So we have very good experiences with that. But as was said before, it's a very conservative market, so it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of lead time, and that is an issue when you're a startup. But there is definitely a need with transmission companies, and they have dedicated departments that are looking for new solutions. So that's always a pleasure to actually work with somebody that has your full focus.
Good. So you're just building up your patience and withstanding the long sales cycles, I guess. But it's good to hear that the interest of the market is there. Moving on to a question from the audience. This question is from Bernd Forsluis. Thanks so much for submitting. This question is for Stark. Owning the batteries is capital intensive. How will you fund that?
Yes, it absolutely is. You have to imagine that a typical larger residential commercial building might have a battery of 100 to 200 kilowatts, 100 to 200,000 euros, if I simplify. Billions of euros, and that will happen over the coming years. The good thing is that European policymakers, the EIB, national governments, they really try to get this market moving by making available long-term, low-cost finance for clean tech. So we're basically tapping into a market of very low interest rate long-term finance that could cover up to 70% of the initial investment amount, and the remaining.
I think we lost you for a moment.
Find a solution possible.
Maybe Rolf, can you because I think we didn't get the last part. Maybe can you just re-say your last sentences?
Yeah, I think the combination of long-term low-cost finance, which is now widely available, can be connected with investors in green energy assets, which makes a basically hardware as a service or assets as a service proposition possible. The timing is right for the.
Yeah, I think maybe to sum up, indeed, the time is right, and the loans on the market are good to at this moment to also provide this assets as a service model, making it interesting for investors as well. Maybe on the topic of fundraising and in investments, Golam, I think we can also congratulate you because you did a funding round at the end of 2020, if I'm correct. Can you share a little bit more on what your future plans are when it comes to fundraising?
So we are actually already fundraising again. Our plans is that, oh, can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Our plans are that we are raising 3 million euro, where we want to lock in the investors by December this year, and then go through negotiations for landing an investment in the beginning of next year.
Great, that's exciting. Good luck with that. And then I have a question coming in from Nicolas Nouvel. This is a question for advanced infrastructure, so for you, Christopher. When do you plan on expanding to the EU? What are the main hurdles to deliver on that geographic expansion when you do?
So we've already started with a few smaller projects with German corporates. So that's already begun. But technically, what we need to do is ingest the data sets and the network topologies and plans across Europe. And that's an activity that's already been identified and planned and costed, factored into our next funding round. And we will be looking to do that in quarter 4 and quarter 1 of next year.
Okay, and where exactly in the EU?
So the most important power markets, the largest markets in Europe are Germany and France, which will be a priority, and also Holland because of some great contacts through the Rockstart community.
Good. Happy to hear that the program is working out in that way. Great, and I'm interested maybe also looking a little bit on the team side. Maybe Rolf, the question for you. I think you already have quite a big team, and what is, maybe looking at your founding team, can you share a little bit about that and how your team developed over time?
Yeah, our founding team consists of 3 people. We have Ivan, who is actually with me here, who has an ICT and energy background, and Maya, on the other hand, who has a background in energy policies and who can predict how markets will change. And myself, I have 10 years of experience in the real estate markets. And we found it really important, and the Rockstart program has proven that as well, that you bring on board people with different backgrounds and maybe even different personalities. And it works out really well in the long term.
Yeah. Are you hiring at the moment by any chance?
Yes, we are hiring in the Netherlands, a business developer, both junior and senior.
Good. Well, anybody who's watching, then it's good to know. And maybe also, to stay with you for a moment longer, because we already asked Golam about his fundraising plans. Can you share that again also with us, Rolf? What are your plans?
Yeah, so we would like to raise 1 million euros by the end of this year. And we're looking at a round that would bring us into commercial operations in 3 regions. Currently in the Netherlands, we would also enter Spain and Sweden. And we're looking for organizations that bridge the knowledge about energy markets with asset investors. And that's why we love the Rockstart program so much. That's where you are, in your context.
Cool, great. And maybe also the question to you, Christopher. Can you read a little bit for all of the investors watching, what are your fundraising plans?
Well, just recapping, guys, at the moment we've just opened a 2 million round, which we'll be aiming to close by the end of the year. And the main sort of users of that fund, as I mentioned, were to expand our technical platform into Europe, but also to build on the business development side. The third most important, actually, is match funding for a lot of research grants that we've been lucky enough to win and need to get those delivered.
Great, thanks so much. And I think we're kind of moving into the final part of this panel. I'm wondering if there's any last things that you really want to get across to the audience here today. Maybe Golam, can you share a little bit of final words on why your solution should really move forward?
Well, if there are anybody from the customer segments out there, if you're in generation and looking to have a better overview of your assets, if you're in transmission and you would like to relieve your workforce and use it more efficiently, or in distribution with immediate solutions for congestion problems, then you can reach out to us. That will be the final word from here.
Perfect, thanks. Rolf, some famous final words for you?
They will not be famous, but the tsunami of investments in energy transition are coming, and we're really looking forward to working with investors or with industrials that want to be part of that process in the early stage. So looking forward to meet further on.
Great, thanks. Thanks so much. And you, Christoph?
Thanks. So we see in the media every week now, there's some story around sort of inaccuracies in carbon data reporting. And we're really interested in speaking to those corporations who essentially have to report it, but it's really important and they're getting it wrong, because we really do have some value to add there.
Great, those were famous last words. Thank you so much, guys, for joining this panel. It was very insightful and great to hear more from you. And still, also for the viewers, please post your questions or get in contact directly with these startups on the Notion page. And then we're moving on to the final topic of today.
Thanks a lot, Kim, also for a second engaging panel, but also a big thank you to all out of you there, because we receive a lot of questions. Please keep that energy and engagement up also for the last theme of today's afternoon. We all know platforms, we use it in our daily life, but how does multi-sided platforms actually look like in the energy sector in the B2B world? So stay curious and let's listen to our last 3 startups of this year's program. Let's start it off with technologycatalog.com from the Netherlands and represented by Erik Nijveld. Here you go.
Finding the right technology for your business can be challenging, costly, and time-consuming. And for technology suppliers, finding customers is difficult when thousands of new technologies are hitting the market. Technologycatalog.com makes this easier. We support the energy transition by providing an online platform that bridges the gap between technology suppliers, end users, and experts. Over the years, we have supported more than 1,000 technology deployments for companies globally, resulting in over $1 billion of added value. Our platform offers a range of functionalities that simplify technology sourcing and deployment. Be part of the change.
Hello everyone, my name is Erik Nijveld, co-founder of technologycatalog.com, the fastest growing technology platform for the energy transition, currently preparing for a 5+ million Series A funding round. I started this company in 2018 together with Vincent van Beuskom, building on our experience with selecting the right external technologies and getting these technologies in and replicate across Shell assets around the globe. This certainly wasn't easy to get started. Let's talk about some of the challenges for a moment. Thousands of technologies are available for the energy transition, waiting to get noticed and deployed. But how to find them? Currently, energy companies are searching the internet or attending exhibitions as soon as that's possible again. Very expensive and time-consuming. And as a result, companies continue to do what they've always done. And that's why we launched technologycatalog.com, a scalable platform based on our extensive experience. With this platform, end users can select the right technologies to improve performance from behind the desk, all based on credible reviews and deployment references. Suppliers can attract buyers at a far lower cost than it would be compared to having to go from one exhibition to the next. And via the platform, tech experts can be accessed that can help the suppliers as well as the end users with getting the technology deployed. And we earn our money by offering matchmaking services, tools, and data analytics to these 3 groups. And although it sounds straightforward, there wasn't such a platform when we launched this in 2018. We've made significant progress since the launch. Over 60,000 unique users have made use of the platform to date from all around the globe. And by now we have over 600 technologies already registered. Actually, we just passed the mark of 700. And we believe there are actually over 25,000 solutions out there in support of the energy transition, ready for deployment. And these include pure renewables tech, but also technologies already in use by conventional industries. For example, maintenance technologies that can help to improve the economics of renewables projects. And here are some more numbers to demonstrate the progress made. So far, we delivered over 700K of revenue, hundreds of matches made, and you see some of our customers and partners listed here, as well as a quote from a happy customer on the bottom left. Angel investors and Rockstart invested about 1 million in us, but we know there's potential to grow further. We estimate that the total addressable market is at least 5 to 10 billion. And therefore, we want to close a Series A funding round of 5+ million later this year, with which we can capture a huge chunk of the market and realize the growth plans as per the bar charts on the left. Thank you very much, and we look forward to meet you.
Thanks a lot, Erik, for the presentation. Yeah, stop sharing the screen. Nice. Now I can see your full screen. Thanks a lot for your presentation. And I think you have really impressive numbers you showed. And you also said in 2018, when you started the platform, you were the only ones. So I'm wondering, is there competition now also in that field, and how do you differentiate yourself?
There are indeed some platforms popping up, but we feel we're far ahead. And what really distinguishes our platform from others is that it's a combination of the platform, but really also our know-how to get technology deployment going, really based on our extensive experience over the years. And what's helping us as well as the network we've built up, not only in the last 3 years, but already before that. So it's the combination of things that helps us to differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Erik. I think everyone understands and also sees the value and the experience of your team. See you in a couple of minutes back in the panel. Thanks a lot, Erik. Let's move on to the second startup of the theme multi-sided platform. It's Helio from Switzerland, represented by Christoph Buchli. Here you go.
AI and the digital world in general is exploding, and so demand for computing power is growing faster than ever before. Yet, a startling 85% of server capacity worldwide is sitting idle. Our mission at Helio is to unleash this untapped computing capacity and to make it available to everyone who needs it, especially those of us who are working on solutions to the world's most pressing problems. Our breakthrough technology will create cheaper computing resources, new revenue streams for data centers, a new category of green data centers powered by smart workload shifting. Helio, democratizing compute.
Helio drastically reduces the environmental footprint of the digital age. Hi everyone, it's nice to be here. Well, in my case, here means my private bedroom at home, but hey, thank you everyone for joining me here today. My name is Christoph. I'm CTO and co-founder of Helio, and I want to tell you a story of two of our customers, Alice and Bosco. Alice is an architect, and she creates beautiful computer-generated animations and imagery of buildings that aren't even built yet. But Alice has a problem. In her office, it's extremely hot and noisy because her work requires so much compute power that it looks like a Bitcoin mining farm under her desk. On the other hand, we have Bosco. Bosco is normally very cold when he's working because he works in a beautiful data center, but due to the volatility of his customers, the server in his data center are normally idling away most of the time. So we have Alice, who is sweating, and Bosco, who is freezing. Shouldn't we do something to bring them together? That's what we thought too, and that's exactly what Helio is doing. Helio is a platform where all of the data centers in the world are connected to. Well, not all of them just yet, but we sure hope to get there someday. Now, whenever Alice wants to execute a job, Helio scans the capacity of tens of thousands of servers and picks the best and cheapest one for her. All of that happens easier, faster, and cheaper than Alice ever knew before. So you see, thanks to Helio, everyone on the planet can start doing work that requires huge amount of compute without having to do a huge initial investment. That's what we mean when we say we democratize compute. Now, to make a living, we take a subscription fee from Bosco for being part of the network and a transaction fee for every job that Alice executes. And actually, millions of people are like Alice. Think of movie studios, AI engineers, data scientists, simulation scientists, and so forth. I bet that even here today in the audience, there are some people that know companies that have heavy workloads that will work perfectly on the Helio platform. If that is you, please come talk to me after the presentation. We launched our public beta in December 2020 and are on the route to 400K annual revenue in 2021 in our beachhead market. Our ambitious plan is to get to 3.4 million revenue and launch our product in 2 more verticals by the end of 2022. Helio was founded by Kevin and me, and that's perfect since we're both very experienced software engineers, and Kevin is specialized in Bosco's domain and I in Alice's. Oh, and if you're an investor, we are currently raising a round, so if you're an angel that wants to invest in the sustainability of the cloud, please also come talk to me afterwards. Helio has a passion about sustainability. You see, our platform increases the efficiency of Bosco's data center, enables demand-side flexibility for Alice's workloads, which then results in the possibility to do peak shaving. And of course, our algorithm takes into account the source of electricity and obviously prefers data centers that are powered by renewables over fossil ones. So you see, Helio drastically reduces the environmental footprint of the digital age indeed. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Christoph. Sending regards to Switzerland.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you're looking and focusing also on the sustainability part. You're connecting also the demand with the idle supply of compute power. Can you get a bit more in how you reduce the carbon footprint of data centers?
Yeah, gladly. Thank you. So a data center today has really no real way of influencing when a job is going to be executed. So thanks to the Helio platform, we introduce a demand-side flexibility, not only to shift it around the world if needed, but also to shift it a little around in time, which means that when we know that a data center is currently powered by fossil power, then we can delay the execution of a job for a certain amount of time and then execute the job when there is renewable sources available. And that is especially important because if you know that a data center uses more or less 75% of the electricity for cooling, networking, all of that stuff, and only 25% for the actual compute. So it's even more important that we take care of that. These 25% you utilize as good as possible with as green energy as possible.
Thanks, Christoph. That sounds awesome. I wasn't aware that there's so much potential. Okay, see you later in the panel. Let's move on to the last pitch of this afternoon, to the third one in the multi-sided platform theme. It's climate.co, so please stay curious, stay interested, and let's give Mats Emil from climate.co from Denmark the applause. Here we go.
The demand for voluntary carbon removal is expanding rapidly. With consumers, investors, and governments pushing for net zero, time is of the essence. Companies lack the tools and skills to analyze projects efficiently. Our solution adds value by brokering diversified and tested carbon removal portfolios. Instead of relying on a single project, we support your transition from short to long-term based removal aligned with the Oxford offsetting principles. Our expert team offers a refined blend of marketplace and industry expertise. Climate.co. Future-proof CO2 compensation for responsible companies.
Hi, everyone. Last but not least, I still hope you have some energy left to hear a little bit about climate. My name is Mats Emil, and I'm one of the co-founders. I generally consider myself a very positive person. In fact, I don't like negativity at all, except for one thing, and that's negative emissions.
Mats, sorry for interrupting you. It's great to see you, but we unfortunately don't see your slides. So please try to also share your screen.
So sorry.
No worries. It was also pleasant to have a person again. Yeah, here we go.
There you go.
Okay. So just get maybe a sip of water, reset yourself, and then you can start off again.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Nice.
All right, now you hear me, you see me?
Yeah, good to go.
All right, let's go. As I was saying, I'm a really positive person, even when things go a little bit sideways in a presentation. I don't like to focus on the negative, except when it comes to negative emissions. And the thing is that we need to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. Even if we manage to reduce emissions by 80%, we still need to remove 10 gigatons of CO2 from the atmosphere every single year. That's a huge, daunting task, but it's also a big market opportunity. I'd like to introduce you to one of our very first clients, Plus Impact, who wanted to attract new clients by removing some of their unavoidable emissions from the atmosphere. Constance was in charge of finding the solution to remove CO2 and maximizing their impact. Jeppe was in charge of keeping the budget and avoiding risk. Now, how do you go about removing CO2 from the atmosphere? Well, there is quite a few different ways to do so, and it can be really complicated if you're not an expert in the area like I am. I am not. Luckily, my co-founder is doing a PhD on this exact topic, and we can help companies get an overview of all these different methods, ranging from forestry, which is really cost-effective, all the way to direct air capture, which has the potential to scale up in the future when nature-based solutions will no longer be enough. There are also different advantages to something like forestry, which can be biodiversity and social benefits. Now, which one should you pick? Well, actually, the science suggests that you don't just pick one, but make a combination of different solutions. To quote the Oxford offsetting principles, an immediate transition to 100% carbon removals is not necessary, nor is it currently feasible. But organizations must commit to gradually increase the percentage of carbon removal offsets they procure with a view to exclusively sourcing permanent carbon removal by mid-century. Now, this is a challenging task, and it requires the companies to not just analyze one method of removal and one set of projects that can deliver that removal, but actually find a lot of different ones. At Climate, we can help with that. We source, analyze, and verify all the different solutions that exist out there and create portfolios for the companies so we can tailor a custom price that fits to that exact client. We also do bulk procurement. So by combining different clients, we can actually get really good deals on the carbon removal. And in that way, we can absorb at least most of our fee so that we can make money without charging extra from the client. Finally, we help the clients with communication and monitoring of their removals. We are currently 6 people with a strong skill set ranging from serial entrepreneurship, management consulting, and of course to climate experts. And we really hope you want to come be positive about being negative with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mats Emil, for your presentation and staying positive, although the hiccups at the beginning. I think you're tackling a huge challenge, but you're still kind of an early stage startup trying to find the sweet spot in a growing market. So what are the target customer you're starting off with?
Yeah, thanks, Julian. We have already the first 5 or so clients coming on board, and really we see a lot of different good market opportunities, but we're focusing on 2 specifically. One is companies that are providing net zero services to the end customers. Right now, we're working with a service provider in the UK, which is offering net zero cell service. So instead of them having to go out themselves and find all these different projects, we just do that for them. And the other one is really just this really responsible companies that want to do more. One of them that we're working with right now was actually mentioned earlier, is SimPower, which is also a former graduate of Rockstart. And they're a really, really positive company. They're just registering to be B Corp, which we see that a lot of the companies that we're working with are working towards. And really, they have a great impact already, but you can't have a great impact without also leading out some emissions. So we help companies remove those.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mats Emil. And great to make that bridge actually to what I previously said also access to community, that you are finding the first traction also with our own portfolio companies. So that's great news. I would like also for the last time ask the previous speakers on the virtual stage, Eric and Christoph, good to have you back.
Great. So we have arrived at the final panel of today, and I want to ask the audience to submit your questions. This is your last chance to submit some questions to the startups, and specifically these three here on the screen. And we're going to talk about multi-sided platforms and also just about these companies, of course. But when it comes to multi-sided platforms, there's different ways to monetize on that. We all know the big success stories. Think of Airbnb, eBay, and Alibaba. But one could also argue that the big success stories is the exception rather than the norm, because it's actually it can be quite hard to win to really monetize on it. My first question actually to you, Eric, with your company technologycatalog.com. How do you view on that? How are you winning in this game?
So we're winning in this game by providing transparency and showing end users what all the options are and helping to make a selection. Say creating a list of 1,000 things is one thing, but how to select the 20 or 30 technologies that help the most. And also the same for suppliers, to really help with showing the data and giving transparency. What are the potential customers out here, such that matches can be made in the most efficient way.
Great, and can you elaborate a little bit more then on your business model, because it's really interesting. But how do you really monetize on it?
So we monetize it by offering services to three groups: to suppliers, end users, as well as tech experts. For the end users, we feed them with insights about the most applicable technology to them. And we have various subscription offerings to them. And dependent on the insights they need, we can give them more specifics, such that it can really help to make the best choices and optimize the performance. For suppliers, for example, we offer them data analytics, so they can see which companies from which countries are looking at their page, such that they can really target their customers in the best possible way.
Okay, and sorry maybe for keep on diving into this question, but do you work with subscription models, or what kind of one-off payment fee?
That's right. So the basic entry is free, but besides that, we have premium services to these three groups.
Thanks a lot. I'll let you off the hook at this moment. So maybe moving on to Mate-Emil. I'm interested to know that, as you also mentioned, indeed, there's this trend of big companies, more and more companies like Microsoft, and are quite public with their pledging on their net zero emissions. But how does your portfolio, because you also spoke indeed about SimPower, compare to what these big companies are doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a great question. I think big companies like Microsoft going forth and doing these things is really, really amazing. And they're really inspiring a lot more companies to do this. And we are also very inspired by their model. In fact, these sort of like 5 categories that I've shown are the same 5 categories that Microsoft is using to report on their portfolios. I think with us targeting a bit smaller companies and companies maybe with a bit bigger margins, we can create some portfolios that have more permanent and more like future tech removal within them, even in actually the sort of lower end of the price with our portfolios.
Yeah, and I can also imagine that it's they're starting off and they can grow into a sustainable model instead of turning it into. So yeah. That's very interesting. Maybe staying on topic of zero emissions. This question is to you, Christoph. How big is the current and projected global impact of data centers on the environment? Of course, the sector that you're in. In other words, what's kind of the sustainability potential of Helio?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's actually a question with quite impressive numbers behind it, because all the data centers in the world combined, they are estimated to have the same, more or less the same electric consumption as the country of India, and are responsible for more or less the same CO2 emissions as the whole industry of air traffic. So you wouldn't probably think that, because you think, okay, a data center is powered by electricity, so electrification, no topic, but still data centers are responsible for the same amount of CO2 emissions than air traffic.
Yeah, that's it's huge, and I think the audience is also quite impressed with your solution and also your quite straightforward business plan. And this question is coming from Danielle Dekkers. He is actually asking, so what are your main challenges and why?
Our main challenges, I would say, is that what we are essentially doing, we are not only building a platform, but we are also building a new mental model, I would say. As I said, what we essentially need for our platform to work and also to have this impact that we want on decreasing the environmental footprint, we need this demand-side flexibility. And for that, we need to teach software engineers and users of software that when currently the way they work is whenever they have a computational problem, they just hit play and then the computer starts running. And we need to, it's actually a small shift of mindset, but still a significant one, that when the Helio platform should be successful, then they hit play and then it takes, maybe starts immediately, maybe it takes a few minutes, maybe it takes a few hours until we can start the computation. That is because we wait for the perfect servers that are available and powered by renewable energy. And that is actually our challenge is, how can we today start signing customers, offering services to them that feel like that, but eventually in 1-2 years down the road will actually have this climate impact, but we already need to sign them today, right? To enable this feeling, this knowledge that Helio is actually a great solution. And therefore we had to implement a roadmap, step-by-step roadmap. So first, customers need to love to use our product, and then we can have the climate impact.
Yeah, I can imagine. You need those early adopters to be working with you, and then you can show what actually the impact further on is, and then really change that behavior. And maybe that's actually something a little bit similar maybe to Matsemio, that you might also be experiencing, that this is indeed an upcoming trend, and also you need to have this changing behavior that actually, to really be negative on your emissions. Is that indeed also how you experience it, or is it different for you, Matsemio?
No, it's very much the same, I think, and it really, we're sort of looking for those customers who are the early adapters, who are already in the transition to changing their mindsets, saying that, look, even though we are actually helping to maybe reduce emissions, and we are the most sustainable solutions out there, whether it's in fashion or in software, if you're doing great stuff, you still have emissions, and if we need to get to zero, you still need to do something about those emissions, no matter how much you can reduce them.
Yeah, very true. I couldn't agree more. Moving on to Eric, for you, I have a question from Isaka Traore. She wants to know, how do you address the discoverability of your business? So how do people see you?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. So we're visible on social media, but also very much via the network. So we work with a very big network of tech experts, for example. They all have their network themselves. So it's a combination of reaching out via the media, but also the network. But what surely is the case is, with the extra funds that we aim to attract, is that will help to ramp up our marketing efforts further.
Yeah, and because if I'm correct, you're already in 10 countries, covering 10 countries. Is that correct?
That's, well, the number of users is actually in far more countries than that. It's all over the globe. But the number of paying customers is from over 10 different countries, yeah. That's
very exciting. I'm getting another question coming in from Tijn van Helvoort. To you, Helio, great product with great potential. How about competition? Why isn't AWS doing this already?
Thank you. Yeah, so it's actually AWS and also Microsoft and Google. They are known for doing internal, in their internal data centers, they are doing this optimization that we are doing. Actually, you could say this is why cloud was invented in the first place. So to drive the utilization up of their internal data centers. And of course, they want to also reach out to more data centers, but there is a lot of compute that is really better suited for different data centers, whether, for example, if you have specific hardware needs, whether you have very, very volatile load. For example, if you're number crunching for a risk analysis that you just do once every night, these are workloads that also, they're also going to break Amazon's data centers because of the volatility that they have. And that is really, Helio really focuses on this very, very specific set of workloads that are for the Amazons and etc. They don't really, of course, they run on Amazon's cloud, but they're not really their most preferred workloads that they have because of the volatility. So we as Helio focus on volatile workloads, and that is what sets us apart from Amazon. And our goal, I mean, the idea that we have, we actually copied that from, so to speak, from the public clouds. They invented the clouds to increase their utilization because it's a good thing to do. We are going to do that for all of the other data centers in the world by focusing on a very specific set of workloads. Thank you.
Clear. Thanks very much for that insightful answer. We only have a few minutes left, so unfortunately this panel already needs to, I need to cut it to the end. But this was such an interesting, I really enjoyed it. I would like to give you the opportunity to also to you for some famous last words to round this off. So maybe Mats-Emil, to start with you. What would you like to say here that you haven't said already?
Yeah, I'll hope these won't be my famous last words. But yeah, we just want to say, thank you to the entire Rockstart team for having us. It's been an amazing journey, and I think we've already made a lot of really, really good connections, both to the partners of Rockstart and to the other companies here in our cohort. We'd really, really like to talk to any companies out there who are watching this, who are, getting serious about getting to net zero and don't want to wait to 2030 or 2050. And then, of course, if you are an investor, we're also very happy to talk to you.
Great. Thanks so much. Next up, Christoph.
Yeah, I'd like to also, as Mats-Emil, say thank you, because for Helio, it's especially interesting because we're somewhat of the most colorful bird of the bunch that you saw today, because our connection to the energy world is not that obvious. And therefore, I'm especially thankful for Rockstart and everyone to have us in the program, and also for the interest, because our play, as I said, our roadmap down the line will be very relevant for the energy world, but not today. And therefore, I guess everyone needs an extra portion of trust into us for giving us this chance now. And therefore, thank you very much. And we're very much looking forward to 2 years down the line, tell the successes of the CO2 that we're actually saving.
Great. Well, we are very happy to have you, and I think it's great what you're doing. Erik, last but not least, maybe some last call that you would like to make to the audience.
Yeah, so we're keen to share our growth plans with you, and why this is such an exciting opportunity, and why we indeed left Shell about 3 years ago to set up this company, and the value that's in it. And so keen to discuss further.
Great. Thank you so much, guys, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. So we have come to the end of the last panel, and also a little bit the end of the event today. Right, Julian?
Yeah, indeed. Thanks a lot, Kim, for that last panel of today's The Energy Demo Day. And we're getting to an end. But what I said at the beginning, I would like to ask you, the audience, which pitch you liked the most. We want to know which startup convinced you. So let's recap. We started off with the e-mobility theme, and eDrive told us about the plug-and-play charging and APIs. Solution showed us where to find and how to use the charging solutions, and Bia explained how they optimize the usage of charging stations. We moved on to the strengthening the grid theme, where advanced infrastructure with Christopher explained that how to use the data to assess how green the energy is and where it actually comes from. Starker Energy with Rolf showed us that battery as a service business can help self-storage generated electricity and balance the grid, and Octo has its ears on the grid to make it even work better. The last theme and part we just heard with technologycatalog.com, and have seen how advanced clean tech to be found and deployed to support the energy transition. Helio showed how the data centers can reduce their carbon footprint, and finally Climate explained how they empower companies to reduce their CO2 emissions. I would like to ask all the presenters back on the virtual stage that we can see you back here. Thanks a lot. Hi guys, good to see you back. Thanks a lot for the hard work you put in the presentations, all the hard work you're doing. And I also want to thank Rune for starting off the content part of that whole Energy Demo Day. I want to thank you, Kim, for moderating the engaging and great panel sessions we have heard. And I want to thank you all out there staying with us, being interactive, and also submitting a lot of questions and make this Rockstart Energy ecosystem a great one. I want to remind you again, get connected with the startups. We shared the information in the chat. Let's collaborate and let's do the energy transition together. Well, one thing is still missing. We still need the result of the voting. So let's do some drums. And the most liked pitch is beer. Congratulations to you, Candice, to North America, to Canada. But I actually want to say you all are winners in my opinion, because you have the guts to start a startup. You have the guts to jump in the unknown, make the journey and create the energy transition. So keep up the hard work and keep rocking. Thanks a lot. Woo! Let's stay in touch. Thanks a lot for being here and see you soon.